Thanks for joining us. For those who don't know me, I'm Nancy Wright, and I'm on the WCLT Education Committee. And I also own Wright Picks Photo Gifts here in Westborough. And we're thrilled with the participation in this Nature of Westborough contest. It really was a great thing for the community. I want to let you know if you have any questions throughout the presentation, you can put them into the chat, and we will try at the end to answer some questions if we have time, if this doesn't go too long. But if we don't, you can also send them to photocontest@westboroughlandtrust.org, which is the email address that we use throughout the competition. So you can send questions either way. If you put them into the chat and we don't get to them, we will get to them after the presentation. So I think that's pretty much it for the housekeeping. Before we jump into the contest though, I would like to give a shout out to Westborough Connects. Today kicked off the Spring Kindness Week, so I wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. They have been huge supporters of WCLT and they continue to be. So if you would like to learn more about the Kindness Week, you can check out westboroughconnects.org online or WC Kindness Week on Facebook. So please make sure you check them out. Westborough Connects does fabulous stuff. They run programs and they are just fabulous. All right, so back to the contest. We're gonna just quickly go over the rules for people who might not have known about them or didn't enter their photos. You had to be a Westborough resident, you had to be an amateur photographer, your photo must have been taken in Westborough, and to qualify for the youth category, you had to be 12 or under. We would like to thank, WCLT needs to thank a lot of people. So first of all, we want to thank everyone who made this contest possible, which starts with the judges. We had 3 judges from 7HCC, which is Seven Hills Camera Club. And special thanks to Mary, who is on the call with us tonight, who will be sharing some of the feedback from all of the judges. So she is representing herself, Jody, and Karen. Side note, if you want to take your photography to the next level, I cannot recommend Seven Hills Camera Club enough. I joined their camera club in 2019 and have been on so many different adventures and photo shoots that I never would have done on my own, and I have learned so much. So definitely look them up online if you're interested. Next, we need to thank the companies who donated prizes. So we had Art Emporium, Hunts, Curry Printing, Tatnick Bookseller, LCK, and Peter Christoph Photography. Peter is known as the Owl Whisperer. He does workshops for photography, and he is fabulous. And lastly, but most importantly, we need to thank all of you who entered and everyone who voted. So we had 133 entries received. 12 were from the 12 and under category, and approximately 73 different people. There might have been plus or minus 5 or 10. But that was a rough estimate that we had around 73 people who participated. As far as the awards and prizes, for first place, we have an Art Emporium gift card. Second place is the Curry Printing 25 greeting cards. So they will print a package of 25 cards of your winning image, which is kind of cool. Third place is a photography book on night photography. And because we had so many fabulous photos, we decided to do honorable mention, and we have 2 honorable mentions as well. LCK donated 2 gift cards. And for the Youth Award, we have 2 Hunts gift certificates. And those can be used for equipment, classes, or photo walks. So you can use them for anything. And People's Choice is a Peter Christoph book. Again, he's known for his ability to find owls. But The Art of Bird Photography is the name of the book that he has donated for this. The judging process. We want you to understand how the winners were determined. The 3 judges scored each image individually. So they assigned a score of up to 5 points for each area of creativity, composition, and technical skill. So the most an image could earn was 15 points. For the 13 plus age group, we had 9 photos that scored a 14 or higher. So we focused on those photos for feedback for this presentation. as well as the youth awards, which we awarded 2 because 2 scored 13.7, which was the highest score in the youth category. So we're awarding both of them. All right, so there was some broad stroke feedback that the judges had. So we picked out the 5 top tips that we wanted to share with everybody to make this more of a learning opportunity. So the first one that we have is in the technical area, and it was to keep the highlights and shadows down, which you can adjust in Lightroom or an app if you use, software programs or apps. Many of the images had overexposed areas where the whites were too harsh. I do have some feedback on that, but Mary, do you want to jump in and give any information on that, or do you want me to handle it?
So for people that aren't familiar a lot with photography and editing, when you have a white, your eye goes to the lightest part of the picture first, or the sharpest part of the picture first. So if you have a picture, you get a nice picture of your dog in the backyard, but over the fence over on the right, there's this big white patch. Everybody that looks at the picture is going to keep looking at that big white patch. So you try to tone that down or crop it out or whatever you can do to make it less, because your eye is always going to look at the most sharp piece, and then it's going to wander around and find that highlight and get stuck over there.
And regarding light too, one thing to note is that there are 4 different light spectrums, if you will, when you're taking photos. There's daylight, there's the golden hour, which is the hour before sunset, which is glorious. You get the warm colors. And then there's the blue hour, which is 20 to 30 minutes after the sun goes down. And technically it's when it's between 4 and 8 degrees below the horizon, I learned. That was something new I just learned. But you get this blue cast over your photos. It's amazing. And then there's nighttime. And if you're going to do night photography at all, the best time really to do it is during blue hour, because you can still have visibility with your foreground subjects, whereas at nighttime it would be more silhouetted. So those are just some tips. All right, number 2 is composition. You want to keep images straight, especially at the horizon level. Mary, what do you have on that?
I don't really have much on that, but so if you have a horizon at the back of your picture, you always want to make sure it's perfectly straight. And we all make a mistake and we all do it wrong. But when you're going to edit it, you can straighten it out. And the same goes for, say, a building. If you're taking a picture of a building, you want it to look straight up and down, not like tipping to the right. And it's really easy while you're out shooting to miss that. I get home, tons of my shots are crooked. I edit them out. I try to leave a lot of room around the edges so I can straighten the building up and not pop the top off the frame.
Yeah, I do the same thing. There's something like I cannot cut a straight line with scissors. And when I take photos, they're always crooked. So like even the photo in the background, I'm sure I had to straighten it. That the photo of the sunset that is in the background of all these images. I don't know what it is, but it's always a good idea to look at your image critically and try to make sure that at the horizon line it is straight. All right, the third point, the rule of thirds, which I learned later on in my photography career. So there's the rule of thirds, and there's the not crowding the subject, which came up from the judges, and leading lines. So Mary, do you want to tackle that as well?
Okay, so that picture in the middle there, which is divided in 3 spots either direction. In general, not always, because you can always do whatever you want to do, but in general, you try to get your main subject at one of those red dots. And if your main subject is, say, a person or a dog or a goose or a bird, you want it facing where there's room for it to look into. In other words, don't have the bird, say, at the bottom left, looking to the left, and his nose is over near the edge of the frame, and there's all this room behind him.
Oh.
Yeah, you skipped off the thing.
Oh, I don't know how to go back.
That's fine. So basically, you try to get into one of those red dotted areas. Or, you could go straight in the middle and usually when you take a photo that you've put the subject right in the middle, then you kind of make it square. So that's the purpose of it. And leading lines, I don't know how I can explain it by looking at that. A leading line is you're taking a shot down a road of fences, down a row of trees, and the subject is at the other end. So you are looking down those leading lines. Leading lines are very exciting. People love to see them because you feel like you're on this adventure going somewhere. They're very provocative.
Leading lines they're very effective. And one thing you want to do when you take an image is look at the image and see where your eye goes, because you want everyone else's eye to go where you want their eye to go. So when you have leading lines, it's leading your eye right to the center or right to a certain part of the image. And we'll see some examples in some of the photos that we're going to be giving feedback on.
There's one very good example.
Yeah. All right, the fourth one is focus. So this is a big one because a lot of people, when we went digital, a lot of people complain about the blurry images they're getting. So focus is a key thing to learn. I am still learning a lot about it. So you want pinpoint focus on the main subject. And one thing to note is that the center, if you're looking through your viewfinder, pretend this is the viewfinder, right here in the center is going to be the most sensitive and most accurate place to get your focus. So on some cameras, you can focus in the middle and then move your camera, to where you want to shoot. So compose it by focusing in the middle and then move it. There are a lot of good tutorials and reviews of cameras online. So a big recommendation would be to learn your camera inside and out where it comes to focus. There's single point focus, center weighted focus, like there's all different things around focus that it's worth your time to learn about. Did you have anything else on that, Mary?
Nope, I think you covered it.
All right, and the last one is creative. Creative is the fun stuff. So when it comes to the creative part of photography, you want to consider different angles. You can always shoot straight ahead, but sometimes it's nice to go low or go high, depending on what you're shooting and the effect you're trying to get. You can play a little bit with the vibrance and saturation in Lightroom for those of you who use Lightroom or other apps. I'm sure I have it as well. Those will help to make your image a bit better. And then you also want to pay attention to depth of field. That was something that came up with the judges, where in some images, it would have been better if the background were blurry, or maybe it would have been better if it were clearer. So that's something else to pay attention to. The tip at the bottom is for anybody who's interested in joining or entering any larger scale contests. Most of them follow the Photographic Society of America's rules on wildlife and nature photos, which means you cannot have anything man-made in the image. It has to be all natural. So no fence posts or posts of any kind, no lights, nothing that was man-made. However, for this contest, we did not worry about that. So we did not eliminate any photos because of that, just so you know. But that's a good hint if you're looking to enter other contests.
I have something to add.
Did you have anything else?
Yeah.
Yes, go.
So nature photography, the no hand of man, also applies. Nancy, you might not even know this. If it's a flower, it cannot be a hybridized flower. It has to be a wildflower or a natural flower. So those orange daylilies that you see all over on the side of the road, that is the original daylily. So you can have that. You can't have any other daylily because they're all hybridized. That is also considered hand of man, which gets really complicated if you don't know plants. That's
true. Because if I were to enter a contest, I would just enter whatever flowers I have, and I wouldn't know the difference.
No, so in nature that doesn't work. And so if it's a picture of a dragonfly sitting on a flower in its nature, the flower can't be a hybridized flower. Sounds crazy because I don't know how people know the difference.
Wow, okay. Good information, thanks. All right, moving on. This is going to be our lineup. So we're going to look at the Youth Awards first. Then we're gonna look at the top 9 that got the score of 14 or higher. So we will look at 4 of them that were in that top 10, but did not earn one of the prizes. But we thought their photo was great, so we wanted to give feedback on it and acknowledge them. Then we're going to jump to the top 10. After the top 10, we're going to jump to the honorable mentions, the third, second, first, and then the people's choice. Just so you know the order that we're going in. So first up is youth, and the first youth winner, and please correct me if I'm wrong on the pronunciation, but I am going to say Matouche Moscal, Sunlight Through the Trees. Is Matouche on the call? Chris, do you have any idea if Matouche is on the call? Chris is.
I do not see Matouche.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna give feedback on all of the photos so that we can all learn from what the judges saw. So Mary, what do we have on this one?
Okay, so what we did when we judged it is 3 of us judged it. And then when we got down to these final categories, we put together comments. And then, you know, some of our comments all matched because we agreed. And sometimes it was 2 different people. So I tried to make some sense out of it. So on this one, which this is Sunlight Through the Trees, and I'm going to have to read this off of paper. So this is a terrific image. The skies and the clouds are lovely. And to get into that, if you look at those clouds, they are the color clouds are. You have to be careful. A lot of times your clouds will get really weird looking. That looks exactly like you would see it. The setting sun with the golden rays is very effective at drawing the eye into the photo. And the road is a perfect leading line to the sun. This is a great job. So when Nancy was talking about leading lines, this road is a leading line. You just look at this picture and you automatically get down the road to the sun. So you want usually your leading line to lead to your subject. You don't want a subject in the front and then this leading line over on the side of it, because you'll just keep looking away from the subject. So this photo is, it's marvelous. The small comment we had, go ahead. The small comment we had was, if you look over into this, whatever that tangled shrubbery is, there's this red thing that we cannot figure out what it is. I decided it was probably a red solo cup or something. But in editing, you could probably either crop it out, you know, you could crop this edge of the photo off, that would get rid of it. You could possibly highlight it and darken it, and that would get rid of it. And honestly, I was looking at the photo and there's really no red in there. So if you took your red saturation slider and moved it all the way to the left, all the red would go away. And then there's this tiny little branch down in the bottom corner, which unfortunately the sun is hitting. So it becomes very obvious. So one of the things you do is when you look at your photo, you look all around the edges every time. And if this were my photo, I would have probably taken that red dot out and cropped in just far enough to get rid of that stick. But it's a marvelous image, and most of mine don't look much better than that.
Thank you, and congratulations again to Matouche. The next youth award is, all right, now if this person's on the call, please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to say Shri Sukta Tabati. If you're on the call, please unmute so that we can congratulate you. But I don't know that you are. I don't remember seeing you check in. So again, another youth award, which I forget what they're getting. I think they're getting the, well, I forget what they're getting. I don't have it in front of me. But anyway, feedback on this one, Mary.
Okay, so this image of a frozen lake. Somehow you missed the name of the photo on this one, Nancy.
It's at the bottom.
Oh, I just can't see that. Okay.
We have the.
Yep. So
yeah, person's name is on.
Yep. All the judges loved this photo. That goose is really tack sharp. The whites are white. Often snow will come out as really blue. This came out really great. The reflection is very nice. And Nancy, you and I talked the other night and you said you thought the reflection wasn't as sharp, but it's because that's ice. That is not water. He's standing on that.
Right.
So it wouldn't have come out sharper,
Right.
I don't think, than that on ice. You could sharpen it, but I don't think it's necessary. And what I really liked about it, this is one of my favorite photos. What I really liked about it is this ice that goes around the edge, sort of makes a frame, almost acts like a vignette. And this is just a tremendous image. And I love the little thing at the end of the beak. I can't tell if it's light hitting the end of his beak or if it's water. I'm guessing it's light since that's really ice and I don't think he could get his nose down in there. But that's a marvelous image. And the only tiny problem with this image is we've cut the end of the tail off. And you try not to cut off just little pieces like that. Like you might want to take a picture of the goose and just have his head and his neck and maybe his shoulders, but you try not to take out just a small piece like that because it's obviously missing. But it's a moot point. It's a beautiful photo. I think the texture on the goose is really good. The colors are great. The snow's white. It's marvelous.
Very nicely done. And as far as the cutting off of the tail, I can attest to if you enter larger competitions, this just happened to me recently. I grabbed the wrong crop of my bird photo and it had cropped off a little bit of the tail. And the judge actually said, had the whole bird been there, it might have been more of a contender. So it's a real thing. Like you really want to pay attention to cutting off anything on animals or people. If you're taking portraits too, or sports photos, watch the arms and legs and make sure that you're including the key elements of the body. All right, moving on to the top 10. First recognition for top 10 is Tammy Wong with Colors Over the Mill Pond Snow. So just to remind you, the next 4 images received a score of 14 or higher, but they did not earn a prize, but we wanted to give them recognition. So Mary, what's the feedback on this one?
Okay, Colors Over the Mid-Pond Snow. The comments are, this is a great use of color and the snow is still white. It's a little teeny bit bluish, but it's also really late in the day, so you're gonna get that. But it's not blue, it's white, and we recognize it as snow. The clouds are gorgeous, the reds are gorgeous, the yellows are gorgeous. One of the things we didn't get into when we were looking at that white box with the rule of thirds is you also try to divide your picture into thirds. Like you try, unless the top and the bottom, and it's a reflection, you try not to get your horizon right in the middle. I think this picture would look a little bit better if you cropped a couple inches off the bottom so the horizon was down a little lower. Other than that, this is a marvelous photo. I really like it. I like all the footprints and stuff too. It gives you something to look at and think about.
Is Tammy on the call by any chance? No. All right. We're going to try to connect with somebody. Hopefully there's somebody on the call that's going to be up here. I'm interested in finding out which photos are made with a camera versus an iPhone. So I was hoping people would be on the call so I could ask them, because I did not ask that up front. But anyway, moving on. The next one. Top 10 recognition to Elaine Burkholdt, Bee on Thistle. Go ahead, Mary.
Bee on Thistle. This is a nice image. The bee could be a little more saturated in color, even though the bee probably is that color yellow. Most of us pop the yellow out a little bit to make the bee more obvious part of the photo. I feel like the purpley pink lavender, whatever color that is, lavender, kind of overpowers the yellow of the bee. Other than that, it's great. The background, so this is very shallow depth of field. The bee is the sharpest part, and as you go back, the sharpness just goes away. That's a marvelous way to highlight the bee and the flower, and all the background goes away and becomes blurry like that. It's a really good job at that. I just think if the bee were a little bit more yellow, he'd pop more. And it'd be more a picture of a bee instead of a bee and a flower.
Excellent. Is Elaine on the call? I should have
Yes,
asked that up front.
I'm here.
Yep,
Oh,
and the
That
B
was
is right in the rule of thirds. Hi, Elaine.
Thank you. Hi. I'm thrilled.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So do you
Excellent.
edit your photos?
What, pardon me?
Do you use an editing tool on your photos?
I do, for cropping and I don't do Photoshop though.
What do you use?
No, what is it?
I don't.
It's a pictures app on my computer.
You should be able to go in there and find yellow on it somewhere as a slider, maybe. And just
Okay,
push it up a little. You'll be amazed how much the bees
Ah.
stick out more.
that's a great idea. Thank you.
It's a lovely photo.
Thanks. It was
So,
much
Elaine, was
bigger.
this
I
with the
had to
camera?
crop it down a lot to
Yeah.
get it to 2 megabytes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? That's another thing to point out. When you're cropping images, you're losing resolution. Oh, I just hit the wrong one. Oh.
No, there you go.
Secret. But that's something to
Yes.
remember. When you're cropping, you do lose resolution. So that's just
Yeah.
something, a general comment for people. Elaine, did you take this with a camera
Yes, with an Olympic,
versus a
it's a Canon.
Mhm.
Nice? Very nice. Well,
Thank you very much.
congratulations
Thank you.
for joining the call. All right, moving to the next one, which you already saw. Another top 10 is David Nather, Walkway. Mary, go ahead with your feedback. Oh, wait, let's see if David's on. Is David on?
Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Hello, David. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, so is this a phone image or a camera image?
It is a camera image.
I didn't think
Very
it was
nicely
phone image.
done.
I have to stop,
Yeah,
David.
well, you
to
never know.
say, This was absolutely my favorite photo of all 133 photos. I love this photo.
Thank you.
It's the sort of thing I do. I love dead leaves, dead flowers, this sort of thing. I love the darkness of it. And were you like stooped way down or were you actually laying on the ground?
I had my camera close, like really close to the ground to get
Yeah,
the
I said, I think he might be on his belly on the ground here. It's marvelous. So the comments from the judges are the low angle is very nice. The darkness is moody, reminiscent of a cold, damp fall day. The shallow depth of field adds a lot to this image, and it's a great use of the rule of thirds because your horizon is pretty much on one of those third lines.
Yeah.
It's marvelous.
It was
I
right
love
after a rainstorm too, so it's perfect.
Good job.
I missed what you just said, David. Say it again.
It was right after a rainstorm, so
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Nicely done. Congratulations. All right, and next up, Infanta Anthony, are you on the call? I think I saw that you entered.
Hi,
Yes,
I'm here.
no? Yes, hello there. Congratulations. So another top 10.
Thank you.
All right, I don't know what just
Okay.
happened.
Feedback.
Yeah, she was unmuted, but now she's muted. All right, so we're going to continue. So, all right. Go ahead, Mary. Go ahead with your
Okay.
feedback.
Yep, okay, so this one was called Frozen 2. We were curious if this was a drone image. Jody thought that it was. I thought that it probably was. Nancy wasn't sure. Anyway, it has a beautiful sky. It's a nice use of the rule of thirds. If you look at the top of the trees back there, that's pretty much makes the sky the top third of the photo. The snow is a little bit too blue, although it is late in the day and that kind of happens. But if you, depending on what editing tool you use, sometimes you can change your tint and maybe move the blue slider a little towards the yellow and get a little bit of the blue out of it. But other than that, it's really nice. And the colors in the sky are really nice. It's a little bit what we used to in film call grainy over here that we now call noisy over up on the upper, I'm pointing like you can see, up in the right-hand corner. So I don't, I'm not quite sure. That's what made me think it was either an iPhone or a drone. Was it a camera?
In front. Can you unmute your? There you
It
go.
was a drone.
It was a drone. Okay.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's
Well,
it's
congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. There's something funky with the sound going on here.
Yeah, I think it's her computer feedback or something.
Okay. All right, moving on now. So we are now entering the prize winners, starting with the honorable mention. The first honorable mention, we have two honorable mentions. The first one is Elena Moscal, Bikers Ball, and she will get an LCK gift card. Is Elena on the call? I don't know. I'm not sure.
All righty.
All right, so
So this
let's move on with.
Am I all set? This actually
Yes.
is my other favorite image. I like everything about this image. I love the leading line that I'm assuming is a young person because it looks small to me. But the person is very sharp. There's sort of some kind of little fog going on back down there that makes you think it's like early in the morning. The colors on the trees, because the light's coming from the sides, they like sparkle at the top. They're beautiful. So the judges' notes were, this is a fantastic image of a youngster riding down what looks like a country path. The light and the colors are very nice. The cropping at the left edge, one of us thought, the only problem with the left edge is this first post, this is really picayune. This first post looks different than all the other posts because it has all that growth on it. And we actually thought it would look better if we just crop the picture and crop that post right out. But that's so picayune, don't even worry about it. It's very sharp. The leaves on the trees are all very clear. There's some shadow, but it looks like he's going to ride off down the road into the shadows. Like it could be the end of a movie. It's beautiful.
Very good feedback. All right, so that is honorable mention number one. We're going to go on to the second one, which is Herb Arnold, White Mushroom. Are you on the call? Congratulations. No. All right, feedback on this one, Mary.
Okay, so the judges' feedback, these mushrooms are very sharp with really good texture. You can see every tiny little dotty bump on them. It's a good use of the rule of thirds. The mushrooms are pretty much to the bottom right. The white looks good. There's no blown out spots, which means if you have too much white, because if you photograph, because maybe the light's too strong or maybe your photograph is overexposed, you end up with a white spot that has absolutely no texture whatsoever in it, and you can never do anything with it. You can't get texture out of it. It's almost impossible to remove the spots, but it doesn't have any of those. And the only thing that anybody thought, one of us thought, was the twigs at the bottom left. It would have been nice. See how the background is all nice and soft because of the depth of field? It would be nice if they could have maybe blurred out a little these twigs on the left. They're a little too sharp, but again, that's pretty picayune.
Minor stuff. All right, thanks. All right, you know what? I meant to do a sound effect for you guys with the drum roll to get to the top three, but I forgot to do that. So we are moving on to third place, which is Diane Diamond with Fallen Leaves and Reflected Trees. Diane, are you on the call? I'm so bad. I don't dare hit my participants button because I don't want to mess up anything. So I can't see who's on the call. All right, we're going to move on with feedback.
Okay, fallen leaves and reflected trees. These are beautiful reflections of the trees. They're really, really detailed. There's no blur at all in them. The image is very sharp everywhere. it might benefit from a little more either vibrance or saturation. I'm gonna guess vibrance. If you used your vibrance slider, the leaves would probably look a little redder, a little oranger, a little yellower. And then sometimes when you do that, then you don't like the blue, so you can just tune the blue back down. Other than that, though, it's really a lovely photo and it's a great job. And again, I like
Excellent.
that.
Very nice. Very nice. All right, second place, drum roll. Diane Schmidt with Misty Morning. Diane, are you on the call?
All these
Oh, people are missing it. All right, go ahead with the feedback on this one.
Okay, Misty Morning. We found this photo very provocative. The lines and the reflections are very nice. We thought it might be a teeny bit stronger if either it had a little less haze or maybe the trees were a smidge darker, or maybe by moving up the contrast. But that's all a personal opinion. And who knows, probably looked like that when the person was there. It's a beautiful photo.
All right, good feedback again. All right, so the biggest drum roll for the winning photograph. The winning photograph is The Cormorant in Autumn Glow by Hugh Howard. Hugh, are you on the call? Anybody? Wow, we only had one person on the call. Two people. Not here. Okay. So we're gonna get feedback on this one. Go ahead, Mary.
All righty, Cormorant in Autumn Glow. The color in this photo it's just amazing. It's beautiful. The shallow depth of field adds a nice softness to the golden glow. Good use of the rule of thirds, where the bird is. And the reflection adds interest to the shot. Very nice work here. This shot is just obviously marvelous. Here's another tiny little criticism. It looks as though the focus, the sharpest part, is on the bird's wings, like right at his shoulder blades, not on his head, which is really hard to do anyway. Nancy's really good at it. I'm not. You try to focus when it's a person, a dog, a bird. You want to focus on their eye, certainly on their face, but actually on their eye, because the eye is how you look into somebody's soul. But other than that, this is marvelous. The colors are amazing. I'd be very happy if this was mine.
So I was gonna say one tip as far as focus on wildlife. You always want to have your focus on single point focus, or I think it might be called spot focus. I use Nikon, but others might call it spot focus. You want a single point of focus and try to get it right on the eye. In any kind of wildlife, that's the most important thing to have in focus. So even if you have your f-stop set incorrectly and other parts end up being out of focus, people want to see the eyes in focus. And like Mary said, like that, you get to the soul of the animal that way. So that was just another tip. But this is a fabulous image. So congratulations to Hugh. And then, so he's gonna, I forgot to name all the prizes. He's going to get the $100 Art Emporium gift card. We'll be putting all of this on Facebook. We're recording this, so we will post that somewhere as well. And we will be making a video of all the images, so we'll be sharing that as well, just FYI. Moving on to the People's Choice, which forced me to stay up till midnight Friday night, and I did. I did.
Only
gotta
you
do it the right way. So I had to.
Well,
This was Shelley James, The Great Conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter. Fabulous image, got 93 Facebook likes. Carolyn
we need to
we're
shut
getting
the
feedback. All right, so she got 93 likes, and Carolyn McDermott was not far behind with 84 likes. So congratulations to Carolyn as well. But this is totally the People's Choice Award. Shelley, I'm assuming you were using a camera just because I know you. But I do have a question about the burst, which is fabulous. And just so people will know, was that a star filter or did you use a higher f-stop to achieve that?
I use a star filter.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And by the way, this, I was just looking through because I took photos with my iPhone 12 Pro Max, which has a night setting. And I can't remember, to be honest. I was just thumbing through going, was this my Nikon photo or my iPhone photo? Because they were actually quite similar, but to bring out the bursts, I did use a star editing to bring out the points and the fractals.
Oh, you edited it. I thought you used a filter on your lens.
So sorry.
So it wasn't a star filter that you attached to the camera?
Oh no! See, I don't even know what that is. So
It goes on your lens.
oh really? No. I thought you meant. That's hilarious. See, I'm learning a lot tonight. So no, I use Snapseed as a photo editing tool. But I also have a tool that when you do starbursts and things like that, it just helps to bring out the points.
Yep.
So I just wanted to bring them out.
Mine will do it.
But thanks, I'm glad folks like it.
There's a lot of feedback. All right. And I need people to know that I went out.
Can you shut off everybody's microphone?
All right, I think we're good. I actually went out on the same night to try to capture this, and I got an excellent moon picture. I could not get the stars in focus, so I have a lot to learn still on the night photography end. So this is fabulous. Very well done.
Okay.
All right.
So
Chris.
this is this
so people's choice.
was this in January?
This
Mercury and Saturn in January
This was the like December 27th, and this is literally at the boat ramp at Mill Pond.
Right. Well,
I didn't realize that.
the people chose well. It's really nice. I tried to go out that night. All I saw was clouds.
Yeah, there was a little window of opportunity, and Shelley grabbed it. That's for sure.
I did. I walked around the pond, the field, and I walked around and around, and then it really wasn't looking good, and I almost left, actually. And then I saw a little clearing like this big. I thought, ooh, maybe. So then I went down to the boat ramp with my compass because I knew it was supposed to be low southwest in the sky. And then it just opened up just enough. So I was pretty happy.
Yeah.
Fabulous. All right, so you're trying to Christoph. I hope you
Cool.
already.
I don't have it.
Awesome. All right. So congrats again to all the winners. Chris, do you have any questions in the chat? Where's my buddy Chris?
Yep.
Yes.
So there's a couple. One, I had the same question. It was Janet asked the question, but I'll ask it since I had the same question. In the white mushroom picture,
Yep.
Would you just remove those twigs
Before you
or
took
blur them? Yeah.
Well, if you don't like them, I would move them. I would have moved them in the first place, but having not moved them, and I edit with Lightroom, I probably would have used the radial filter around the mushrooms, which protects the mushrooms, and blur out the rest of the photo, or already use the brush tool and brush that whole corner and reduce the texture and the clarity slider, and it would start to look like the background. I would have moved them because I noticed stuff like that, because I do a lot of that sort of thing.
I think it's a preferential thing because I'm the kind of photographer who likes to capture exactly what I find. So I like it to be fully natural. Not to say I don't draw outside the line sometimes, because I do, and I do remove stuff sometimes. But if I came upon this, I would take it with those there. And I don't even know if I would have thought to blur them, but it's an excellent idea. But you can totally remove them before you take the photo as well.
Right, that's
Either way.
like a personal thing. Nancy's all into being honest, and I'm all into getting what I want. I would have picked that
Yeah.
piece black off the mushroom, that little weed, I probably would have moved, I actually have
Come on, it
picked
looks-
mushrooms and moved them to another spot. Those purple mushrooms that I did in the cemetery, I moved them.
Yeah.
I picked them right out of
Yeah.
the ground, went over there,
Yeah.
dug a hole, jammed it in.
Yeah, so it's really personal preference, whatever you're trying to achieve when you take your image, make your image. Yeah. Because I don't think it detracts too much from the photo, but if they were blurry, it would be better, but that's a technical thing.
Because you look at the mushrooms and then you look at the stick. Because it's the next
Yeah,
obvious shot.
exactly, you're right.
I mean, we don't want you looking at the stick.
All right. Going back to the question.
So there's another question
What else?
from Kate, which I can ask if, or Kate can if she unmutes herself. The question was really about whether the judges had any critiques of Shelley's picture.
What
It's
is
a beautiful image.
Oh, we didn't bother to no, we didn't, no. And I don't know how she didn't get into the top 10, to be honest with you. But the three of us judged independently, and then so I'm gonna say, Shelley, that I gave you 15, but I don't know. But then, then Jody would have gave her a score and Karen would have gave her a score, and then they would blend together. And there were a lot of scores at the top. It was just a lot.
I'm gonna guess that this was in the 13 range.
Yeah, I don't know, and I
Just
don't
because it
know.
wasn't it wasn't one of the ones that was 14 or above, so I would guess it was a high 13. And I can totally look it up later if we need to, but what would if you were giving critical feedback, Mary, what would your I mean, we talked about the starburst.
Honestly, I think the photo is really, really good. I think because it's a picture of the conjunction, and that is not an easy thing to do. It's kind of amazing. I think the horizon's a little crooked. And myself, I get crazy editing, like all these little white dots over to the right in the tree line. I would have removed every one of those. I would remove this white dot in the middle over there. I would take all those out, because you look at that and then you see those white dots and you just go back and forth. Once you get somebody on your subject, you don't want them to leave if you can help it. The lines in the water, I'm assuming that's ice out there, right? Water, ice. The lines in the ice are kind of nice because they kind of lead you to there. But these white dots over to the right, I get rid of them. I find them annoying.
Yep, I was gonna say the
That's
same
easy
thing.
enough to
You
do.
know, I have no problem with removing the white dots, and I love the swirls here.
Yeah.
And this is fabulous, obviously.
Yeah, it's very
And I
nice.
love the color,
Yeah,
around
purple.
it, it looks natural. It doesn't look not natural. So, yeah.
Great.
And I get a little
Okey-dokey.
crazy sometimes. Like I might have even got rid of the 2 lines all the way over to the left, and then all the dots. And just have the lines that head towards the picture.
And would you do all that in Photoshop? I'm just curious, is that a Photoshop when you would take out the little?
Lightroom. So
Okay.
I would just use the, what do you call that thing? A little round circle in it. It's a cloning tool or a repair tool. And you
It
just
heals or
click on it,
clones, but I
and
think
you
it's
do another black spot and put it on it. I don't know how you would do it in Snapseed. I think you can though. She's not, I can't hear.
it must be.
Sorry, I haven't learned yet how to use those tools around editing, like erasing things and smudging things and replacing. Not there yet, so.
Yeah. Well, I found when I started using Snapseed that it was the hardest thing I ever learned. It's the craziest tool. I had to Google everything. But it does a lot of things.
It's funny, I find it easy. I find Lightroom, I have Lightroom and I've tried it and I get all confused.
Well, I also own 2 computers. I put the directions on one and do them on the other.
Okay,
There's also the Lightroom mobile.
Yep.
I do it all on my desktop. But I've heard that the Lightroom mobile app is excellent as well,
It is.
which I have, but I have not used.
I use
Just
it
something to know.
because it'll do a few things Snapseed won't. You can go into Lightroom Mobile, Shelley, and say you want just the red brighter, you can just make the red brighter. In Snapseed, you have to make all the colors brighter. So you can't, like, if you pull the vibrance up, then you get this ridiculous looking sky that it never looked like before because you were trying to get the leaves redder. So then when I have those kind of instances, then I use the Lightroom Mobile.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Chris?
Yeah, along the same lines. I don't know if Veshgorodia wants to unmute and ask his question. Otherwise, I can.
Yeah. Sure. Hi, Chris. Hi, Nancy, and thank you everyone for having this. It is absolute pleasure to look at the pictures and hear you all tonight. I had two questions. One question is that so I had submitted a panoramic view. People liked it, but is it acceptable in a photo contest? And two, what iPhone app would you recommend if we are out with family, hiking, taking pictures? Which app would you recommend?
Go ahead, Mary.
Okay, so yes, panoramic views are always acceptable. I've seen a lot of them in competitions. They're a little bit of work to do if you're doing it with your camera and gluing them all together. When you say an iPhone app, you mean an editing app?
An app to take pictures and editing, both. But like if I'm using that app,
Right. Yeah, no, you just take the picture with your camera.
Okay.
I don't think there's any app to take. Well, there are crazy apps that do weird things. But if you just want to take a real picture, you're just going to use your phone camera.
Okay.
And then Snapseed is a really easy to learn app. But if you already own Lightroom, so when you rent Lightroom, you pay like $10 a month or so. Then you get Lightroom Mobile for free. So if you get Lightroom Mobile for free, it does a few things that if Snapseed does that, I have never figured that out. And one is the color. So if you wanted to, on any picture okay, I have a thing in the summer. I think my camera makes green grass look ridiculous. It's not that color ever. So I tone down all my greens when I'm shooting pictures of flowers because the green becomes overwhelming. And now you have this beautiful pink flower and it's overwhelmed by this green. Well, you can't do that in Snapseed. You can only tone down all the colors or make more vibrant all the colors. But in Lightroom, you can choose what color you want to affect. So that's one thing about Lightroom that works better. Plus you have, I think the filters that you use, like the radial filter, is easier to use in Lightroom than it is in Snapseed.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Mary.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were a couple in the last couple of minutes, questions about where the recording is going to be posted and where the video eventually will be posted. Is that clear, or should we just?
So Westborough TV will be doing the video of all the images. So we will have people's names and image titles on each of the images, and the winners will be flagged. So it will be on the Westborough TV site, and I'm sure we'll share it on all the WCLT platforms, which would be the website, the Facebook page, and the new Instagram page, which I wanted to make sure I let everybody know about that. Please go on and follow us on Instagram as well. It's Westborough Land Trust on everything. So Facebook and Instagram are the same. Look us up and make sure you follow us, like us. And you can use, the hashtag WCLT as well. So they will be on all of them, I believe. That is the goal. So hopefully that will happen within the next week. I'll be in touch with Karen Henderson. Also, we will be rotating images on the Facebook page cover photo. So the winning images will all take turns on that. I don't know what the time frame is on that. Haven't figured that out yet, but that will happen. Also, I will be getting the prizes out to all the winners. I know a lot of the winners weren't on this call, but that is my job as well. So I will make sure that I get all the prizes out to the winners over the next week or so.
Nancy, I think somebody else asked when they'll be able to see this actual recording of this Zoom meeting. Is that going to go up somewhere too?
Yep, that's the goal. This will go up as well because a lot of the people were not on this call, so it'd be nice for them to get the constructive feedback as well as the photography tips. So our plan is to put this recording up, same venue, same channels. Hopefully we'll get it on the website, archived there as well as featured. It will be on the Facebook page and probably not Instagram, but it will be on those two. That's the goal. Anything else? All right, well, I just want to say thanks again to everybody. Well, these are all the handles, which we already talked about, but thank you to everybody who entered the contest. Thank you to the judges. Thank you to the prize donors. I think everything went fabulously, and I was very pleased with all of the entries that we received. And we will be featuring the photos on social media, so look for it, and as well as all the recordings that we just talked about.
And can I also just thank Nancy one more time, and also Chris for hosting this Zoom meeting tonight. And Nancy put in countless hours for organizing this competition. It was much more than meets the eye. And also I wanted to tell everybody, pardon me?
I said, thank you. It was a lot of work and a lot of fun too. So I think it's great for the community because there are so many hidden gems, and probably not that hidden, but I haven't even hit all the hikes that there are to do in Westborough. So there are so many places where it feels like you're in New Hampshire or Maine. So I encourage everybody to continue to get out there and take photos and post them to our page because we love to see it.
And I would like to encourage everybody to participate in our Earth Day litter cleanup that's coming up in the second week of April. Please give back to Westborough by doing that. Check the Westborough Land Trust website. You can sign up starting on April 1st.
And make sure you look for the wildflower scavenger hunt. That's another fun event that's going on now. So make sure you keep checking in with the Facebook page.
Like our Facebook page.
Oh, and I forgot to mention that Peter Christoph is going to be talking. He's our speaker for the annual meeting. So that's June 14th at 7 o'clock at night. So mark your calendars for that as well. He's going to be fabulous.
He'll be talking about birds in the New England swamp.
Yes. Yep. Yes. All right. Thank you, everybody, so much. Have a great night.
Bye.